Welcome to the Founders Q&A. Send in your questions for Don and Tim in the chat or send them to us via Twitter using the hashtag AskITProTV.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Founders Q&A here on IT Pro TV. I'm Don Pezet, co-founder of IT Pro TV, alongside Mr. Tim. Tim, why don't you introduce yourself?
Excellent, Don. Thank you for doing the intro for us for our Founders Talk. Always enjoy to have these at the end of each quarter, and appreciate the opportunity to speak to our members and people that are watching for us.
Yep, and if this is your first time watching one of the Founders Q&A, what we like to do is about every quarter, about every 3 months, Tim and I usually just sit right down here in my office and have a chat with you, the members, and talk about what's going on here at IT Pro TV, what's happened in the past, what's going to happen soon, and cover that. But this one's a little bit different because our nation is facing an unusual time, right?
The world, actually, with the COVID-19, the pandemic and quarantine. And the first thing I'd like to mention is I hope everyone is safe. Hope everyone is getting through the quarantine with your organization, with your families. Hope everyone is safe and healthy and continuing to work through whatever challenges that you may have. The IT Pro TV team has been safe. Most everyone has been quarantining. Our production and edutainer team has been fortunate that there's a few of us that get to come to the office to continue to create great content for our members and keep stuff updated, and putting out a lot of content around Zoom and some of the security issues that may be coming up for people that have remote teams. And we've continued to try to work through that, and hopefully over the next few weeks, maybe months, that things start to get back to normal for you and everyone else, and we can get beyond this. But for now, just stay safe. Follow the best advice that you can get from people, and see what happens within your community, and take care of your families.
Absolutely, and we've been pretty fortunate as an IT company that for all of our employees that wanted to work from home, they've been able to do that. The exception would be some of the edutainers who are still coming in to create content. Fortunately, we got, I think on average, about 12 people here in the building at any given time, but it's a 28,000 square foot building, so there is plenty of room. But it also means that we have continued to create great content for you, the viewers out there. So that's something that we want to talk about and share that. I also want to mention that we're here to share information with you, but also to answer any questions you have. So if you have questions, please throw them in the chat window. We'll see those, and we'll answer them. This is live, not a pre-recorded thing. But also, if you ask a question in the chat room, you'll automatically be entered into a drawing for a free t-shirt. Everybody likes IT Pro TV swag, so we will do that at the end of the Q&A as we move through.
Sorry, that was a habit for doing jazz hands.
So funny thing, as we transition some of our meetings into Zoom, we learn about what works and what doesn't work. And when we celebrate a success of a team member, we'll usually applaud. But on Zoom, it makes so much noise, it cuts out the microphones. So as a joke one day, I said, you know what, we should do jazz hands instead. And honestly, I like it. I think it's going to stick.
It is pretty good.
Although you went the extra mile and did sparkle fingers.
Sparkle fingers and jazz hands.
Yeah.
They mean the same thing, I think.
If you're extra excited, you do both, like a combination.
I'm not that coordinated.
All right. Well, let's.
Thank you for letting me. I didn't mention that. I am not in the office, obviously, from my surroundings. So being remote, thank you for letting me join you remotely. Hope this works for everybody. I know most of the news programs and things that you see on TV, people are from home, so we figured that it would be okay to bring this to you, this Founders Talk Q&A in this format. So please ask your questions. We're here in the chat room. We're here as long as you're going to be here to be able to ask whatever you need to about IT Pro TV. Don and I are open book.
Yep, and actually we've already had a couple of questions come in. We got a question from Oscars who asked, are there any plans to enable MFA authentication for signing into the IT Pro TV website? And are there any plans for virtual labs for cloud platform certifications such as Azure and AWS? Thanks. Keep up the great work. So let's tackle MFA first. So MFA is something that we do want to offer, but we don't currently. And it is on our kind of planning board. It's actually not on our roadmap for 2020, so I wouldn't expect that this year, but we are looking to implement it. We have a couple of authentication things on the table right now because, for example, Apple has the login with Apple program now, where if you have an Apple app, they want you to support that. So we're going to start looking into introducing some new login mechanisms, but we have some hurdles to jump over here on our side. So for individuals with IT Pro TV accounts where it's just a single account, it's actually pretty easy for us to implement MFA. But we also have some large schools and universities that do single sign-on with us. And that means they're authenticating on their own servers before they come to us. And so now we've got to kind of separate that out for how we handle MFA in those cases. So it's a little bit more complex, but it is something that we're working on. And the other part of the question was the virtual labs for cloud platforms. And Tim, I know you've been making some headway on this, haven't you?
We have a couple different vendors, partners that we work with that are bringing more and more of these to fruition. And we have some potential things that maybe later this summer that we'll be able to announce that might be rolling out.
Yep, and
soon. That's a very firm commitment of soon.
Yeah, cloud is obviously the way of the future. Everybody's trying to learn cloud technologies. Azure, AWS, Google, they all have free usage tiers where people can get in and practice and learn. But having step-by-step labs is really nice. And the challenge there is, as a company, we offer those virtual labs as a part of your subscription, and we don't charge extra for that beyond your base subscription. So how do we do that with a cloud service that potentially has limitless costs? So there's a few hurdles that have to be jumped there, but it is certainly being looked into. A few more questions coming in. Actually, a statement. Brian said, thanks for all of our efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. And then with extra time and quarantine alone, it is great to have access to humans to talk to during office hours. So office hours is a bit of an experiment for us, and I know we've had a pretty decent response for that.
Yeah, I think people enjoy, one of the things we talked about with IT Pro TV is we bring personality to information. And having these hours or 2 hours at a time, essentially one-on-one, or everyone that might be in the chat room with one of our edutainers, and being able to ask specific questions if you're studying for an exam or about a technology. I think it's relatively unprecedented in the format that we do it. We probably, I'm going to hesitate here. It is likely to be more of a pandemic thing than maybe a post-pandemic feature. Would you agree, Don?
Yeah, because we stream live every day, and normally when we have 3-4 studios pumping all at the same time, you're kind of guaranteed to catch live content. But right now our schedules are all messed up, and so there's plenty of times where only one studio is going, and maybe they're recording specialized content that we're not allowed to stream live or something. And so that's what Office Hours was designed to make up for, was to guarantee that at least at one point you had a chance to interact with some live people.
Right. We'd like to have our edutainers creating, our course content and our other assets that we create that go on YouTube that are helpful to people. So, we'll see. But right now, I think it's during the pandemic. Post-pandemic, it's probably going to be sunsetting.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean it's off the table. Down the road, we could always kick it back up again. If it's a feature that you like and enjoy, be sure to communicate that to the team. We also got a question from Lewis asking about, what is the biggest challenge a company the size of IT Pro TV has, that we've had in moving to a work from home situation? So our biggest challenge.
Convincing Don and I that it's okay for people to work from home is probably the biggest issue. Don and I both were on the same page that we are what I would consider to be more old school when it comes to working from home. And it really comes, IT Pro TV, while we continue to grow and have many opportunities for more future growth and for success, we're still a relatively small organization, a startup that's a non-funded bootstrap type startup, and having people work from home is risky when there's many challenges that you have. But I gotta say, in saying that, our team convinced us that they were up to the task, and they've done a fantastic job of doing that and utilizing a lot of the newer technologies. And I'll say Zoom, as well as other meeting apps, using Microsoft Teams for communication. The engineers using, what's the product they use when they do their stories?
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse,
Yep.
using Clubhouse, and utilizing some of the technologies that are out there to help organize, has yielded great comfort to both Don and I. But it's a challenge because you just don't know what might happen, and uh, it's that the biggest hurdle is convincing us to actually successfully do it, and our team has performed well.
Yep. I've had a lot of trepidation with it because I personally don't like working from home. I've done it before. I worked for a company out in Seattle, Washington, and I had moved back to Florida. So I did that for about 6 months, and I did not find that a good experience. That I was separated from the team. As a network engineer, if I'm doing my job right, nobody knows I'm doing my job, and so there was a lot of failed recognition, things like that. It just wasn't a pleasant experience for me. And so that's my personal experience I've had. So obviously I project that on the team and try and get everybody to work from here, which is just not possible right now. So it's been an interesting kind of exercise to see what can and can't be done remote. And we found that actually a lot of stuff can be done remote and done effectively.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard to work remote and be effective. My guess is that with the great culture that we've continued to have as we entered into this, we were kind of relying on that, riding that wave of great culture. But the longer and longer we go, I think those potential pitfalls or speed bumps or potholes will begin to appear. You just have to continue to work with them. And as we all face the challenges of quarantine and pandemic, uh, we don't have any option. Failure's not an option. We got to continue to make it happen.
Yep. And to that point, we got a couple more questions in the chat, but let's talk for a minute before I jump to those questions about what all we achieved in the first quarter. So, IT Pro TV has been busy. We're always busy, but this is from January through March. So right to the kind of the beginning of the pandemic and the shutdown and all that, we created a ton of content, and you, our members, have actually consumed a lot of that, right? Over 105,000 hours of content was viewed from January through March, which is pretty darn impressive.
It is outstanding, and what's even more impressive is that we're on pace to double that for the next quarter. So there's a lot of people that are taking the time that they're out of the office or doing the things, with their job to watch and invest in themselves in more content. So, we're excited about the continued growth and viewing of our content. And on the flip side is something that we really started to put more emphasis on over the past year is YouTube and getting to 20,000 subscribers. I want to get to 100,000 subscribers and, 1 million subscribers because you see the YouTubers that are out there. And our focus really began on YouTube. We just kind of put stuff on content on YouTube previously. But last year we really started to make it a focus because we feel like that we're reaching an audience and we're providing additional free tools for people to try to bring recognition to our brand. And the assets we were just talking about them, Nano.
Yeah, the 171 marketing assets there. Those aren't all commercials. It's Nano, it's the pros know, the how-to videos that go on YouTube, quick bites. There is our webinar series that gets created. Critical updates, and the How to Get Started series, which kind of falls under the Pros Know helm. So all of those are different pieces of content that we make. Last year with YouTube, we really didn't have a concerted effort. We tried swallowing Tide Pods, that didn't work, and so now we're creating actual useful content for people. Stuff that you guys are interested in, throwing it out there in YouTube, and we're finding that we're getting a really good response to that.
And to all the members or free members or paying members, corporate members who have gotten that pop-up that said, will you refer IT Pro TV to a friend or family member, and you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, that goes to what's called an NPS score if you're not familiar with it. And our NPS score of 64 is truly outstanding and world-class, but we're not satisfied with that. We want to continue to get better and better, but it's continuously improving. I think we were 65 for all of last year. So being at 64 is where we're within that range. But what we want to see is 70. And the way that we do that is by providing excellent service, quality content, and exceeding expectations of all of our members. So we're really pleased with the NPS score staying consistent. Yep. The other aspect is on the production and on the content creation side. Your team, the Edutainer team, continues to create great content every single day. It's one of our core values. It's one of the reasons why we started IT Pro TV, is because there was a lack of good updated content out there. So creating 504 episodes, these are course content episodes. We continue on a great pace.
Yeah, we're on track to do over 2,000 episodes this year, which is a great number for us. And we are about quality, not quantity. So I'm not so concerned about hitting a particular number, but it's great to see that we created over 500 episodes. With the pandemic kind of shutting things down, we've actually still continued to create content. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to carry that through into quarter two and create a good number. We probably won't hit 500 episodes in second quarter, but we'll see. It's a number that is constantly climbing. All right.
It's not just the edutainers that create content. I want to go ahead and recognize the production team, the people that are working the cameras and the sound and doing the editing and putting everything together. And they do such a great job and do it quickly that what we create on live today is ready for the web in 24 to 48 hours. So, there's a good group of people that are supporting that effort.
And that 509, that leaves out, at IT Pro TV, the bulk of the content that we create is for you, the members. You see it in the library, but we also create some private content for other firms that we'll leave unnamed. But that doesn't go in the library, and that production is going on also at the same time. And so the production team is kind of doing double the work than what you might necessarily see.
Which is a great point to bring up, even though those cannot be named. If your organization needs any content to be created, or if there's a particular vendor out there that needs content to be created, that's what we do. And give us a call, and we're at the right price, and we can do it quickly. It's another feature of what IT Pro TV can offer.
All right, let's tackle a few more questions here from the chat room. Brian asked about the graded labs. We mentioned graded virtual labs in our last Founders Q&A, and he was asking, is it still in progress? Is that on hold? What's its status?
No movement from the last point to today. From these 2 points, there is no movement on the graded labs.
Yep. Soon. we used to always say that in 6 months, but that became kind of a nebulous thing. But it is
no
certainly.
one ever said the Founders Q&A questions were going to be easy, were they?
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not sure that we're going to see a lot of progress on that. Really, on many of those extra features like that in the second quarter, just as things are shuffled around. We got a question from Arn asking, can we get an alert when new live content starts? And that is an excellent suggestion. We actually used to do that. So back in the early days, when we would go live, we would send out an email, and then we switched to where we could do text messages as well. So when we went live, a text message would go out. There were various challenges with that. And we ended up removing that feature several years ago. So it is something we did in the past, and we could certainly look into it again. Let me make a note, and I'll pass that on to our product team as a suggestion, and see what we can do there. We do.
That's something I think that we'd like to bring back. At one point, I remember it became a bit cost prohibitive because the number of text messages that we were sending out, multiple times a day. But I think today's technology, we ought to be able to do something like that again.
Yeah, we'd certainly look into it. All right, so, there was a hidden question here. Let me go to this one. So Dan was asking, will production be slowing down due to COVID-19? And I'll tell you that the answer to that is a little, right? So it will slow down a little. I'll tell you that I was in studio filming with Adam this morning for AZ500. Ronnie and Anthony have been filming CCNP content. I can see Anthony outside my door right now. So they're jumping in and filming. For the most part, we've continued filming our series. Now, we do have a few of our edutainers who are out taking care of their families, or that have been quarantined at various points because they had been to New York and things. So we have had some disruption, absolutely, but we are still creating content. So I would say that, I haven't seen the final numbers for April yet, but I believe we came in at about 75% of our production load for April, which is really, really good. So we are disrupted a little bit, but it's not like a massive thing. It's not like we only film one episode a day now. We're still filming a pretty big chunk of content.
Yeah, the team's doing a great job.
Yep. And that's with social distancing and all the various other changes we had to implement. It's been interesting, but our production team, really, they're the heroes in this one because they found ways to make it work for us, the edutainers, we just go and stand where they tell us to stand. And instead of one studio, it might be 2 studios now, but we're still just standing there talking. So. All right, let's jump back to our, let's see, we were talking about all the content that we created. We kind of ran through that. Let's talk about some of our new courses, some of the things that we have launched in this last quarter. And we've launched 1 or 2 things in the last quarter.
Yeah, that's it's a great list. The new Accelerated A+. I know that Wes has been working hard on getting that out. It's a much more shorter series for maybe someone that has, a higher level of skill and maybe not brand new to the technology. They can get through this looking to make sure that they pass the test. The other one that I'm excited about was GCP, the Google, the Associate Cloud Engineer. I'm excited about that because we had a lot of people asking about it. And the other one that I was really excited about was the Encore, the CCNP Encore. And I know that you're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, a lot of exciting stuff going on there. And keep in mind, all the courses that are listed in orange are ones that are already done, that are completed. So for example, well, actually, hang on, that's not entirely true because they had to add a few episodes to CIOTP. But for the most part, if you see it on this slide and it's orange, it's already done. So AZ900, the GCP, ITIL Create, Deliver, Support, or CDS, that stuff is in the can, ready to go, and all kind of completed in that first quarter. Let's move to the next one, which is our roadmap. So these are the things that are currently in production that we're working on. And so what we'll see on the next slide, I think, is that we've got the Cisco Encore is being filmed. Oh, I got my slides backwards. All right, so what's in production right now? Let's talk about that. Oh, no. I'm reading the slides wrong. So Cisco Encore is already done, and that is the new CCNP track. So Cisco rolled out all new certifications. We were ahead of the game on some of that, like our new updated CCNA and the DevOps Professional. That stuff was all done at the end of the year, back in December. But then in January, February, March, we spent time updating our CCNA. And then we fortunately were able to bring in Anthony Sequeira to, I've been making fun of his last name today, and so it's hard for me to say it the right way now. I've got it the wrong way in my head. He's laughing at me outside the door. Anthony Sequeira. So Anthony Sequeira, though, he has come in and has been working with Ronnie to create some of the higher level content, which is super exciting. So CCNP Encore is done. That's the first certification for the CCNP Enterprise Routing and Switching. And now they are working on some of the next courses that are in that chain. So that is something that is in production right now. Adam is doing the Microsoft Azure Security Technologies, or AZ500, which we have a lot of requests for. So finally getting that filmed and put in place. What else do we have? Bring that list back up because there's a ton of stuff on there that's in production. We have, the NSLED, the Cisco Enterprise Networks. Anthony's been working on that one as well. Daniel is putting the finishing touches on Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, the update for that. We had already filmed that, so this is an update, but it is still a lot of work. He's really making some improvements on there. ITIL DPI, and I think I talked about most of them.
Up to you. CISA.
Yeah, the CISA Plus that Daniel's updating. And then the Windows Virtual Desktop, which is not a certification exam, it's just a technology everybody's asking about because of the work from home effort. And so Mike Roderick has actually been creating training on that to show you not necessarily how to get certified, but how to actually use the technology. And that's super handy for work from home people.
Yeah, I'm excited about what we continue to create and get ahead of competitors. Being the first to release the new Cisco content, we'll continue to, as we release the other ones, we'll be first to market with those. And if you're seeking to update your Cisco certifications, IT Pro TV is where you need to go, and tell your friends, 10 friends.
And tell your friends.
Not
all right,
hands, it's 10 friends.
Let's see, what else do we have? So that was kind of our course roadmap there. You mentioned tell your friends. We have actually been reaching out to a whole new group of people. I shouldn't say a new group, but an extended group of people with our COVID-19 response. Tim, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're doing there?
Yeah, I think everyone, whenever this first started, it was a bit of a shock. It was kind of from one day to the next, you go to this event of this pandemic and people are talking quarantine. And if you have kids that are in school and or in college, a lot of learning institutions found themselves with classroom training, and they had no option for their students to do online learning. So what we did is we tried to reach out and publicize and press releases to as many learning institutions as we could, and to offer IT Pro TV to help them transition their students from the classroom to an online solution so they could finish their grades and finish their courses for that semester. So we did this at no charge for the spring semester and also the summer. And in the fall, all we ask is that we just consider IT Pro TV to be a potential partner with you moving forward. There's no obligation. And we've served 27 secondary and higher education institutions with more than 1,600 students that have been added that we've been able to help support with IT Pro TV content at no charge to them, because we know that they're already going through the distress of trying to deal with the pandemic and the quarantine. And if you know anybody else, there's an email, edu.assistance@itpro.tv. If you're one of those institutions and you need to find a solution, we'll work with you in order to help you guys out, to help get people into IT. That's really, fulfilling our mission.
Yeah,
It's great
absolutely.
to have the opportunity to do that.
And again, it's at no cost. So, basically, that institution will have access to that content. The teachers can use it. Now, they can still teach and deliver their lessons and use the video content to supplement, which is really, really handy when it's so difficult to create lecture material and other things, all done right there. So it's a wonderful program. I'm glad to be a part of that. It's just a wonderful thing that we can offer out to the community. All right, quick reminder to everybody, please, feel free to ask whatever questions you want. I know I've got a couple kind of saved up here, but ask whatever questions you want in the chat room. We are answering them live. And remember, if you ask a question in the chat, you'll automatically be entered into a drawing for a free IT Pro TV t-shirt. So, who doesn't?
Coveted. Everybody wants an IT Pro TV t-shirt.
That's right. It's a collector's item, limited edition. Actually, you get to pick which one you want. So there's a whole process. So I don't actually know.
IT Pro TV and Chill.
Which I used to have one on display in here somewhere, but not anymore. I probably gave it away in a chat room like this. So let's see. Let's talk about our apps. Hey, we did a big app update, right, for iOS, Android, that kind of stuff.
We did. Ryan and our product team has certainly done a great job of bringing feature parity or greater feature parity to our website. The look and feel is much more consistent. The performance is significantly improved. I will also remind that our website is oh my God, I just slipped my mind. Not web enabled, but
fully responsive.
Fully responsive. So if you visit the website on an iPhone or an Android device, that's probably the richest experience on a phone with all of the features. But there are a lot of reasons why an app might be better. And Apple TV is improved. Android and iOS, all the devices is significantly better and much more featured-like parity. You'll see a much richer experience with the web. We've worked hard. It's taken years. Don and I were joking in the beginning when we were offline about the 3 stars we had from our first app, and we thought it was a great idea, but it's a lot harder. It's not like you create an app and then you just roll it out. It requires consistent support and updating and updating with features, and you change something on your system, you got to change it in the app. And I'm glad we have Ryan, and his group continuously working to improve and get that up to where we are today, because I'm very proud of it.
And it was a big deal. Our old app, it was a little dated. We'd had it for a few years, and it cost an outrageous amount of money to manufacture that app. But it just wasn't all that exciting. And when we rolled out our new dashboard on the website, we wanted to have that same level of experience in the app. And so we didn't just do an upgrade. It was a total 100% rewrite. So it is a brand new app. If you tried it before and didn't like it, definitely check out the new one. And I'm using the singular form, but it was Android and iOS were both redone, and we're evaluating other platforms as we go. But that was a big effort, and the new apps are significantly better. All right, let's see. What else do we have? I mean, you talked a bit about the features in the apps. The video resume, proper progress tracking is happening. We have a next episode button, which sounds like a little thing, but when you're done, you can just jump right into the next episode. One of Ryan's focus, and Ryan doesn't really get on camera much, does he? But if you ever talk to Ryan, one of the things he's always saying is he wants to get people to their learning, to their education content as quickly as possible. So the dashboard's whole purpose is to get you right back into the content you were watching as quickly as possible without having to navigate through a bunch of stuff. And so now we have that in the app as well. We did get a question in the chat about, is there a Fire TV, is the Fire TV app getting updates? And that one
has not been on the list.
Yeah.
It was the lowest usage of any of our devices. And we made the business decision, and it really comes down to a financial decision of how many people are using it and what's the cost in order to update it. That when we did a complete redo, we did not support the Fire TV app. We did support Roku and Apple TV, which were more popular, but unfortunately, Fire TV didn't make the cut yet. So we'll see. We continue to work with Amazon on many different features, so you might see it roll out soon.
Yeah, and we certainly ran into some challenges with that app. The the infrastructure needed to support it was a little bit different than the other app stores. So we'll see where that goes. But for right now, that one's kind of dead in the water. Actually, I think that app it doesn't even function anymore, right, Tim? Do you know?
I do not know.
Yeah, and
it probably doesn't. I wouldn't use it if you don't have to.
Yeah, you'll certainly have a better experience if you use the built-in web browser to be able to pull up the site that way, or to cast from another device.
Cast it. Yep.
All right, so let's jump over to something fun we've been doing. Actually, something we've really been doing a lot this month, but we're talking about the last quarter. Our game shows, right? So we have kicked off a number of different game shows, actually started at the end of last year. We've continued to do more. So let's talk a little bit about those. We kind of started with the Backdoors and Breaches card game, which is an incident response simulation. It's designed as a security training tool. It was created by Black Hills InfoSec, and we've run a couple of live games of it now. We branched out into Spin It to Win It, the tech-related, not Wheel of Fortune game that we played and had a lot of fun. And these have been a good time.
Yeah, Don, let me ask you the question. Why are we doing game shows?
Because we're bored.
No.
Because we want to make learning fun and engaging.
Yes, that is what we continue to live our mission. It is fun, it's enjoyable. You get to meet our edutainers from behind the scenes and see their real personalities, and it's just another way to learn that is fun. And that's why we do it. It takes a lot of effort, mainly from our production team. Again, hats off to our production team that are able to put these events together. Our edutainers are the ones that basically kind of walk on scene, and there is nothing scripted, and no, they know none of the questions, and if you've seen the Spin It to Win It, it is hilarious when people can't come up with something that is obvious.
Yeah, Sheryl Sandberg. Nobody knows who she is. Now we did do one that was scripted.
I didn't want to spoil it for those that haven't seen it.
Oh shoot, I ruined it. Spoiler alert! Too late. The dating game. That one's the only one that we did that was scripted, and that one was pretty fun. But all the other ones have just been completely ad-libbed, and we have a good time with those. It's been a lot of fun. And we're changing that going forward and inviting IT Pro TV members to participate. So if you're interested in possibly playing Spin It to Win It or Backdoors and Breaches or so on, you'll see more messaging from us over the next few weeks to invite you guys to throw your name in the hat, and we can Skype you in, Zoom you in, whatever method it is we need to get your video in here, and have you jump in and participate and play those games. So that is certainly going to be a lot of excitement.
And just for the record, in the dating game, my wife was the contestant, and she was trying to choose between Azure, GCP, and AWS. So it wasn't really a game; it was more of a show.
Yeah, it was fun.
But it was good.
Yep.
Check it out.
And all the information in there was factual too. So that was partly why we had to script it, was to make sure we were saying things that were accurate about each cloud platform. You don't just want to wing it.
Yep.
All right, so that has been a fun one, and this month, in the month of May, we have done a game show every Friday. So we actually have, I think it's another Spin It to Win It this Friday, Spin It to Win It this Friday, and then we've got a very special Backdoors and Breaches coming up on the 22nd. because we're going to have John Strand from Black Hills InfoSec, the creator of Backdoors and Breaches. He's going to be on there playing with us, and Rob Carson from SemperSec. So these are two people who work in the security field, who are very active in handling incident response and are at the highest level of their career field, are going to come in and play a silly game with us, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I get excited about that.
I need to get you to play, Tim.
Oh, no.
Well, at least spin it to win it. You know, pretty much anybody can do that as Hangman.
Yeah, but then I would be making fun of people the way that they're making fun of me.
Well, that's true.
Or they would make fun of me.
But that's the whole point. So, all right. Another thing that we have been doing, let's see, webinars. We do
Lots of webinars.
A lot of webinars. And that's one of the first things that when we started the COVID-19 kind of rearrangement, is we said, how do we keep our webinars going? Because more and more places were closing their conferences and the in-person type meetings that people would go to, and webinars are the logical successor to that. And so we've been ramping those up and actually trying to do a little more than we normally do in terms of webinars. So over the last few months, we've tackled quite a few, starting off with staying secure while working remotely. That was one of my webinars. Originally, it was supposed to be staying secure while traveling, but then when the pandemic hit, we decided to pivot that one a little bit, and we did while working remotely. Kind of the same thing, except you're traveling to your home instead of traveling to Russia. But it was a good webinar.
You said Russia.
Yeah, well, you got to say it sooner or later.
10 priorities for remote team management. You know, we tried to make these timely, certainly for things that people might be dealing with, you know, in the now. As we continue to do new webinars and succeeding with the new Cisco certifications, and as the IT career right for you, people that might be looking for a new job because they might have found themselves without one, we want to continue to be relevant in everything that's information that's available right now is what I'm trying to say. So, you know, check them out, share them with your friends, share them socially. You know, we appreciate the opportunities when you guys promote IT Pro TV to your friends. Raving Fans is how IT Pro TV really got started. One person told two, and then two told three, and then all of a sudden we had almost 10. And, you know, we want to be able to continue to grow and bring great content to you that is relevant to you and helping you be as successful as possible. We want your feedback to tell us what you want. Are there any webinars that might be appropriate for you or your team? Let us know. We'll create it. You know, send an email to Don.
Sure.
Or
yeah, you can email me, don@itpro.tv, or you know, you can reach out to our member services team, or any number of ways that you can recommend webinar titles. We're always looking for new ideas to do. And an important thing I want to point out is that while we have done a couple of webinars that have been focused on like remote work and COVID-19 stuff, we've continued to do our traditional webinars that are just focused on technology, right? Because we still need to learn that stuff. So if we bring that webinar list back up, what you'll see on there is that we are continuing to do things like the Help Desk Health Check, or Evolve Server Management with Windows Admin Center, Nurturing a Learning Culture Remotely. I guess that one's kind of COVID-19, but the other ones, the ones that are coming up, the new Cisco certs, the IT career, these are all things that we would be doing anyway, regardless of the pandemic. And so we want to continue to do that. So we don't want to sacrifice the overall IT education for something that's a temporary condition. So if you have ideas that fit a need right now, like we had a lot of people say, we really need Zoom training. And so we created Zoom and Teams training and threw that out on YouTube, a little kind of one-off stuff. We certainly don't mind doing that, but we also want to be thinking long-term and creating content that will have a good shelf life to be able to use that. So another thing I want to mention is that if you miss a webinar, they're all available on the site. If you go to itpro.tv/webinars, and as a member, you have access to all of them as part of your subscription, but they're free. You can send that link to anybody you know. If there's a webinar that they want to watch, they can just go right on to itpro.tv/webinars and catch any of the various webinars we've done over the last several years. So all right in there.
Hey, Don, I got a question for you because it came up in the chat, and I figured you would be good to answer this. Dan asks, is Discord or Slack chat coming?
Tim's throwing this one on me because I made a stink about it earlier in the week. So the answer is yes. That's the short answer. Yes, something is coming. but we don't know what yet. So we are testing right now, evaluating Slack and Discord, those two specifically. We're looking at it. I am not a fan of Slack, so I don't think that's the direction we'll go in, but it's certainly possible. I'm not saying that it's out of the question. Discord is something that I do use, and Adam has actually been participating in an ISC Squared Discord group, doing like a Q&A study group every Tuesday and Thursday, and that's all been done through Discord, and he's had a really good response to that. And so we may be extending that out into the rest of what we do with IT Pro TV. Maybe that'll be a replacement for office hours, or maybe that'll be how we do office hours. We're not sure yet, but it is absolutely being evaluated, and it has come up in meetings several times over the last couple of weeks.
And I would ask Dan if he has an opinion, if he's used both products, send an email to Ryan, our product manager, who's leading the charge on this, at Ryan, RYAN, at itpro.tv. If you have a question or an idea about how to use Discord or Slack or features that you might have used in the past, please let us know. It's that information that will help us get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we let our personal preferences taint things. So I don't use Slack for anything, so that makes me a little resistant to it, versus Discord that I do use for various things. So, it may be that Slack is the right choice. Hearing from you all, you're the ones that it impacts the most. So please be sure to let us know. Another thing we can kind of talk about here. Let's see, are we caught up on? Oh, we're not caught up on questions. Arn had asked, DevPro.tv is awesome. Can you do more of that too? All right, this one's my fault. Justin Dennison, we hired him 2 years ago now, maybe longer, and fully intent to have him dedicated just doing DevPro content and cranking it out. And so that's what he did the first year and a half or so that he was here. He made all that content that you're talking about. But then I found out that he actually is pretty good with AWS, and we needed a lot of AWS content in our library. And so I kind of diverted him. And he's been making AWS cloud content for us for the last, I don't know, at least 6 months, maybe 8 months. And so we haven't created a lot of DevPro content in that time. A lot of that content has a long shelf life, but that doesn't mean that I want it to get stale in the library. So we will absolutely film more DevPro content. It's just not what he's working on right now. So we haven't forgotten about it. We will continue to create more. But right now, we've got his focus kind of on AWS.
Good answer.
Yep. Yeah, that was my fault. I made that call.
It's not a fault. I think it's the right decision. We want to invest heavily in the AWS content, and it's definitely a good direction to go. I think we'll continue to grow the DevPro content, but right now, AWS is a priority.
Yep, certainly higher on our viewer list. We keep track of how many views every episode gets, every course gets. We create this top 50 list that Angie provides for me once a month. And that's kind of how we know what are our really important courses or what's our fringe stuff. And the fringe courses, it doesn't mean we don't do them. It just means that we set a reasonable expectation of what the results for that course should be. So sometimes Adam will record some really complex edge kind of stuff, and 5 people watch it. And you could look at that as a failure, but I look at it and say, well, we're the only ones who had that content. So it served that purpose. The fact that we were able to create it is really nice. So that, it is something that we want to create, even though we know it's not going to get the high viewer numbers.
There was something I didn't mention earlier, which is kind of relevant when we talk about creating content and creating the right type of content, is in the first quarter, for every course, every single episode that was launched during the first quarter, 78% were watched to completion. It's an amazing statistic. We've verified it. We've validated it. It was 77% for the fourth quarter of last year. So we continue to be consistent that people watch our entire 20, 25 minutes. And, it's because the content is engaging, it's easy to watch, and you ultimately learn from it and you find value from it. So we think that's fantastic. Would love to get it over 80%, but we think at 78%, it's awesome. And, getting information from you guys about what content you want to see will help us continue to create content for you.
Yep, and speaking of engaging with the members, Michelle reminded me in the chat here that our office hours changed up a little bit. During the early days of the pandemic, we were doing office hours originally every afternoon. Then we went to twice a day, and so we were doing it 10 times a week. We've shifted again, and for this month, we're doing office hours every Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. Is our new office hours slot. So, looking at that means that office hours are actually going on right. Oh no, wait, we are the office hours right now. Tim, you and I. Why do I not pay attention to these things? We actually have a phenomenally organized staff that tells me all of this stuff in the morning, and then I forget it by the time lunch rolls around. So again, that one's my fault. But we are doing office hours Wednesdays at 1:30, and that's still something we're testing out. So if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, give us suggestions on how you'd make that better. We certainly want to hear it. And Tim, earlier you were talking about something, and I think I might have cut you off. You were talking about how people should share IT Pro TV with their friends, right? With one friend, with 10 friends. We actually do have a couple of programs that are put in place that help with that. And so why don't we talk about kind of how you guys can help us grow, because there's a number of different ways.
There is. First of all, is telling your friends, telling your employers, telling people that you work with about IT Pro TV is the fastest way that we can grow. And when people want to join, we do have a free tier of membership, and that includes about 5 or 6 complete courses, including CompTIA IT Fundamentals. And you do get access to the site, to the live channel with that free membership. You can start a 7-day free trial if you choose a standard monthly membership. And with a standard monthly, you get access to all the videos, and the first 7 days are free. Your credit card won't get charged until the 8th day. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember, we want to get up to 100,000 subscribers, so share that with all of your friends. And we have the referral program, which Don, your wife Vivian, kind of manages for us and runs. And if you want to explain that, you know the details better.
Yeah, so basically if you join the referral program, you will get a coupon code, and that coupon code is for 30% off the subscription to IT Pro TV. And you can then distribute that out to people through whatever means you have. Maybe you have a podcast or a Twitter feed or something like that. And every time somebody uses that coupon code, they save 30%, which is really good. And then you get, hang on, I'm trying to make sure I don't mix up the programs here, because we have...
It's a personal link that's on the member page.
And so with each one that signs up, though, you will get $20 off of your IT Pro TV subscription. And so if you get multiple people, then all of a sudden it's like your IT Pro subscription is free, which is a really great opportunity.
And your friends get 30% off. So your friends get 30% off by using your personal link, and then you get $20, and you can apply that towards your subscription. So ultimately, you can get IT Pro TV at no charge, for free.
Yeah.
So it's something that's pretty cool, and it's something that would be really nice for everyone to take advantage of. Help support us.
Yep. And if you're interested in it, the front end team did some really good work on this, because if you just log in with your regular account and go into your account settings, the referral code is automatically generated. It's in there and it's ready to go. So you can certainly leverage that. But another thing that I always like to say is we're constantly trying to find ways to reach out and help IT people. And there's a few different ways that we do that. Obviously with all the content that we create, that's our primary way. But we also do Technado, where we bring in a number of various guests to be interviewed and speak with us and learn a little bit more about what they do. If you know somebody who might be a good guest on Technado, or if you yourself, maybe you've got an IT story you want to share and want to be a guest on Technado, shoot us an email and let us know. We're constantly looking for great people. We've been super fortunate to get some great interviews over the years. We just interviewed Jeffrey Snover, who is considered the father of PowerShell. So he is a big name inside of the Microsoft sphere. If you guys know anybody, please let us know. And if there's other podcasts that you guys watch, or user groups that you're a part of, share that with us also. Let us know, because there's sometimes where we can send swag kits and things out to user groups. We can provide interviews for other podcasts. Sometimes we do sponsorships. There's various ways we can interact and help support the IT community, because we're a part of that community. We want to give back.
And did you do the PowerShell Technado yesterday?
We filmed it yesterday. It will go out tomorrow, so on Thursday.
Okay. And did you do the mean tweets?
We did. So PowerShell is a bit of a divisive topic, right? Some people love it, some people hate it. And so I floated the idea out there. I said, what if we do the mean tweets thing from Jimmy Kimmel, where we find some really mean things people have said about PowerShell and then see what Jeffrey has to say about it. And that guy, he is such a great person. He's got a great sense of humor. He was all about it. And so we did it. Did you watch it, Tim?
I haven't seen it, so I have to wait for it.
I'll do
tomorrow.
I'll do a little spoiler. Let me give you my favorite of the tweets, and you can wait for his response. I got to pull it up here real quick. I'm not in the Technado channel to find the tweets. And oh shoot, where'd it go? Oh man, now I'm gonna ruin everything. See, we had this nice flow going with our Q&A, and I screwed it up. But I will find it. But it was a trip. There was a lot of really entertaining stuff, and it's loading right now.
But Don's looking for that. If there's anybody that has any more questions, go ahead and get them in the chat room. Let us know. Remember, if you ask a question, you do get a free T-shirt. So ask away. You have a few more minutes before we wrap it up.
All right, here it is. So my favorite tweet was this. It was, those who invented PowerShell must have been using bad drugs and their brains got damaged severely. #PowerShell, #sucks. So you'll have to watch the podcast to see how Jeffrey responded to that. Actually, I had a really cool story that he talked about that covered how he even got the idea from PowerShell in the first place. And hint, hint, it wasn't drugs.
I can't wait to see that tomorrow.
Although we did talk about barbiturates at one point. So yeah, it's a good interview. You'll definitely want to see it.
Awesome.
All right, well, we're starting to wind things down here. We're coming up on the top of the hour for the Q&A. So like Tim said, if you have a question, now's the time to get it in there. And we would love to answer that. Let me get back in and find out. Let's see, we answered the DevPro question. We talked about that. All right, I think we're good. So, I had a question that I wanted to ask you, Tim, because, I've been here in the office, but I get in the studio, I get kind of distracted and working. So my workflow hasn't really changed since I'm still coming in here to the office, but you have been out of the office for most of this event. How have you been able to adapt to working remote? Have you been able to just like snap right into it, or has there been stuff you've been having to overcome?
No, I've been struggling. Simple things of I'm here with my family. There's 5 of us that are in the house. 3 of them were finishing high school and taking online courses. My wife Denise, who's our CFO, who continuously works at her computer from 8 a.m. to 8 o'clock at night. Trying to, when you get on a video call, trying to find someplace quiet that you can schedule the time to be around so you don't disturb someone else on their online course. And then, trying to be effective on your own. And, when I think about what I do, I don't have necessarily a lot of tasks that have to be done at a certain time. There's, a handful. Mostly what I do is I communicate with people and leaders, and I walk around, and I see what's going on, and I, kind of get a good feel for the organization and, where appropriately, step in and just ask more questions. But you can't do that when you're remote. So, some Zoom calls, some Teams calls, some communications, but overall, I've been struggling, which is probably me putting on, all of our team, the idea of struggling working remotely. So I have to continue to work to be better. I've gone back for a couple days. I'll be back at the end of this week or next week for a few days. So I'm getting there, Don. It has not been perfect. I've enjoyed the family time, which I wouldn't have had, which is fantastic. But when it comes to actual work, it's not been easy.
Yeah, I know I've heard from some of our members that by eliminating the commute and things like that, they're able to have more time to dedicate to their studies. But trying to study when the whole family is at home is sometimes challenging. So a lot of people are trying to adapt different ways. What I'm looking forward to is kind of seeing how things change on a more permanent basis. After all this is over, I imagine we're going to see a lot more jobs are remote, which is going to be interesting. I would wager if that's the case that we're probably going to start seeing an uptick in networking careers, because people need more reliable networks, they need VPNs, they need technologies like that in place. So I think we'll actually see the career field change a little bit. It'd be really cool.
I had lunch with my old college roommate yesterday that works for a pretty large organization, Sienna, that provides enterprise equipment, and their business is booming because the bandwidth usage continues to increase. And the way that he explained it, all those 10 meg cards that need to get, or 10 gig cards need to get swapped out for 25 gig cards, and the 25 gig cards need to get swapped out for 50 gig cards. And the network traffic is crazy what's going on right now. And there's no turning back. It's just going to get more.
All right. Well, I think at this point, what I want to do is we had a number of people that threw in questions throughout, so I think we are going to go ahead and do our drawing. And so this is another part that's like a whole distance thing. So the drawing is actually happening in another room, and they're telling us the results here. Tim, do you want to announce our winner of the T-shirt drawing?
I will. I want to see the confetti.
Well, you got to say it. They time it, right?
Okay. Lewis is the T-shirt winner. Is that the right time?
There you go.
Congratulations, Lewis. Thank you for your questions.
Yep, and thank you for your question, but also thank everybody for your questions, because that's really what structures this Founders Q&A. Like Tim and I have some crib notes of stuff that we want to talk about, but it's really about answering you guys' questions. And I want you all to know that if you ever have a question, you don't have to wait for our quarterly Q&A like this. You don't have to wait 3 months. You can just shoot us an email. Our emails are predictable, right? Tim@itpro.tv, Don@itpro.tv. Just voice whatever concerns you have, suggestions, ideas, things you like, things you don't like. Let us know. And we do listen. We act as much as we can to be able to create the best experience for our members. And we can only do that if we know what the best experience for you is. So please be sure to share that.
Last Q&A, I did get a couple emails from people, and I think they were just kind of testing to see if the emails would actually come to me. And of course, I respond, and then they come back and they say great things. So thank you for reaching out when you do.
Yep, absolutely. And let's see, before we wind down, Tim, do you have any parting words for our team?
Ultimately, I just say stay safe. Keep your family safe in the pandemic and your isolation. Follow the general rules the best that you can. But ultimately, I think everybody needs to get back to work and get the economy going. So if you can work remotely, I think it's fantastic. Put in as much effort as you can. Support your organization as they face their challenges and be as helpful as possible. And continue to spend that extra time studying at IT Pro TV and invest in yourself. I think that the IT job market is going to continue to be on the increase and have new opportunities. So if you're ready and have the ability, you may have jobs that are outside of your normal territory because of being able to access and work remotely. So a lot of opportunities there. It's just you have to seize them. So good luck to you and stay in touch.
Yep, and I'll add to that if you're already in IT and you're now supporting a remote workforce, please take the time to create some end-user education. That a lot of people are kind of thrown to the wolves here, and I see this with the school system where a lot of teachers, they're trying to pivot the courses online, but they're not being given a whole lot of support to do that. And what we're finding is that best practices for IT security are not being followed. And so you are going to see an increase in account hacking, ransomware, and other things. So be sure that it's important to educate yourself, but then take that knowledge and educate those around you to create a safer, more stable work environment so that people can be successful working from home and continue to keep our workforce going, keep our economy going. I'm talking from the mindset of someone here in the United States, but this really applies across the globe that everybody has the same needs right now. We need to be able to work, we need to be able to keep our families fed, and at the same time we need to ensure our future. And right now, IT is absolutely the way to do that.
Yep. Thank you, Don. I appreciate the time. It was great to see you and communicate with you. I miss you, buddy.
Yeah, it's like you said. I used to just walk right over to your office and shoot the breeze and stuff, and now I can't do that. So the Founders Q&A session is when we get to catch up.
I'll be in next week.
Yep, looking forward to seeing you here. And for all of you members, I look forward to seeing you guys live in the chat room as we create content. Tomorrow morning, Adam and I will be in there filming AZ500. So be sure to jump in with anything you want to learn or talk about in there. And thank you for being a part of IT Pro TV. We would not be here without you.
Yeah, we're grateful. Thank you. Stay safe.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. This has been the Founders Q&A. Signing off, I'm Don Pezet.
And I'm Tim Broom.
And we'll see you next time.